Dr. Della Torre, we'd like to hear from you a little bit about how you increase the capacity of your teachers.
I think the key element in doing that is you have to accept the notion that student performance, their academic achievement, will not improve until we improve the capacity of the adults in the system. And so the instructional rounds is certainly one way of getting a barometer reading as to how effective a teacher is performing or is being in a classroom, but that's just the initial barometer. If you're going to make a difference, then you also have to have the instructional leadership, the instructional leaders, principals, assistant principals, instructional specialists. We have 4 dedicated instructional specialists at each and every one of our schools. So rather than have them mobilized from the central office, they are part of that faculty and staff, and they are organized in a way where they address math, science. The second one addresses English language arts and social studies. The third we call an interventionist, and all of our interventionists are trained to work with children who have been diagnosed with dyslexia. But when that caseload is not large, they also have the responsibility to work with children who are struggling with literacy or any other area of their academic experience. And then the final staff would be the computer teacher, and that computer teacher is supposed to be an instructional technologist. Their role is to help a generation of teachers who may not be as comfortable with technology become more comfortable with it and ultimately leverage technology to promote differentiated instruction. Technology is probably the most significant vehicle for doing that. And by that I mean tailoring the instruction to every student's individual needs. So the first thing you have to have is credibility in terms of being an instructional leader. Teachers have a hard time being responsive to someone who hasn't had a track record or an experience or a reputation of having been a strong teacher themselves. So the old profile or the old model of a principal or assistant principal, where you simply supervise and you make sure that the school grounds are maintained and clean and safe, and you make sure that attendance is being taken, that's management. What we're looking for are leaders that used to be in the classroom and who used to be very effective in the classroom, mentor and coach and counsel current teachers in the classroom based on their observations. And that's the connection between the instructional round piece and how you begin to help teachers in the classroom. You also have to accept that teachers are a lot like students. They too need differentiated instruction. So one of the things that we do is we don't apply one professional development or training model for all teachers across the district or even all teachers across a school campus. What we ask our principals to do is to tier our teachers in the way that we ask teachers to tier their students. You have teachers who are incredibly effective. They're going to need some additional professional development, but it will be very different than the teacher that's struggling. And so you have to be able to understand where the teacher is in their own development, their own progression, and tailor the professional development and training experiences to their specific needs. And the best way to do that is observe. The second way to do that is be very comfortable with the disaggregation of data that is pertinent to their reality. In other words, you have to take a look at how their students are performing by subject area, by grade level. You have to be able to do data analysis to see whether or not the teacher is addressing all of the standards or whether their scope and sequence may have gaps in it. And then as an instructional leader, you have regular meetings with these teachers. Now that's key because there's an expense involved. In our school district, all of our teachers get a duty-free prep period, and then they get a second prep period that is intended to create these professional learning communities. And during that second prep period is when we have to have a structure in place that allows teachers to disaggregate data and to receive the kind of professional development, the kind of training, counseling.
What's the frequency on those?
Every day. Every day, every teacher in this school district has their duty-free prep period and a professional development period where they take responsibility for their own development and their own training. But what it does do is it creates a need for additional FTE to cover other classes during that period so that these teachers can meet together, again, either by grade level, by subject area, by student population. So if you have a group of teachers that have a large number of English learners, it gives them an opportunity to bring their data, compare it with one another, and if I determine that of the three of us in the third grade, you appear to be having the greatest level of success with your English learners, then the two of us need to be very attentive to what you're doing in the classroom. And you assume a role as a mentor and a teacher to us by sharing with us what's being effective in your class and what can be replicated and scaled up. If the three of us are all doing well with a particular population, then we have a responsibility to the rest of the organization to share it with other schools in our professional learning community. And if we as a professional learning community, we have 7 of them in this district, are having more success with English language learners, then the associate superintendent needs to recognize that and get us in front of the other professional learning communities so that we can share what we're doing in our professional learning community that's having the desired outcome with the rest of the professionals in the organization. So it's a way to internally develop capacity across the district simply by observing and then by being able to disaggregate data in a way that it tells a narrative, a story about what's happening. And then we also promote the idea that it's okay to fail forward. Try different things, do different things. If the outcome isn't there, take a step back, reflect, let's try something else until we crack this code.